any relationship?
Oh, I had diarrhea in Boston.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Unless we're going to be
We got a little too comfortable just coming here
divas,
and hanging out for
We're
a while.
I'm hanging out with my friends.
Yeah.
We're talking about business.
They're asking me about different cam angles.
I know,
I feel pretty good when I come here.
Yeah, it feels so intimate and cool.
Let us know when you're ready.
Oh,
we're
we're
going. All right.
rolling. Welcome to Worthless Clowns.
Welcome to Worthless Clowns, a podcast about how stupid we all are. I'm Brittany Cardwell, Bertonis Cardwell on Instagram.
And I'm Ali O'Neill. You can follow me at It's Ali O'Neill on Instagram. And guess what, guys? We're on fucking YouTube.
Yeah.
We're on YouTube. You can see us and hear us if you want.
And our guests.
You can see and
Remember
hear
who
our
we've
guests.
had? We had Onika McLean,
Yep.
Sean Patton, Shane Torres, Josh Johnson.
Yep.
You can see them all.
Mike Racine. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike Racine. Well,
Yeah.
he'll be here.
I don't know.
Probably
soon if you haven't seen him yet.
Yeah.
Who are our guests again?
So every time we talk about episodes that we haven't released, I feel like we're trying to talk about a movie about time travel.
Yeah.
It's like it never quite makes sense.
Yeah.
And we know, but we're like,
and you're like, you have to see
nobody
it.
else is going to
It's fine.
believe.
Yeah. Trying to explain my screenplay about time travel that hasn't really made the connections to itself yet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it'll get there. It'll get there.
It makes sense. I made a drawing.
Yeah. Oh my God. How are you?
How you
What's
doing,
going on?
Allie? Me? Okay, me first.
Yeah, you go first.
Guess what? You already know. I'm really anxious lately.
Yeah. Why is that?
God, I don't know, but it's getting really bad. And,
Yeah.
I think I mentioned this to you. I think it's kind of ever since I started having those anxiety attacks. This is going to be stupid, I promise. But
nice mental health awareness at the beginning of the pod.
yeah, when's that month? That's when this will get released.
I don't fucking know. I think it just passed.
Did it?
Yeah, I got like an email from my work being like, hey, if you need help, here's a website. Here's a listicle.
Hey, if you were going to use your sick days, you should have done that last month.
Yeah, I know, literally.
Please don't take too many sick days, even though they're there.
They're like, make sure you get up and walk around when you're working. And I'm like, cool, that fixed my depression.
Oh, it must have just happened because my work, somewhere they posted something about mental health as well, like related to working from home.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But yes, I think I might have told you this. My doctor prescribed me some anxiety medication to take like when I really need it or whatever, when I'm having like a lot of trouble. But I'm anxious about taking my medication.
Yep.
Because I'm afraid that I'm going to have an anxious response to how it makes me feel.
You think Xanax is going to make you feel anxious?
I do.
That's anxiety working overtime, dude.
I know. I'm having like the same thing happen with a bunch of stuff. Like I'm afraid to try new things because I'm afraid it will make me think that something's happening that's not.
Yeah.
Like I told you about how I keep worrying that I'm gonna have an allergic reaction to something, and then I'm gonna start choking in my apartment alone. Which I don't believe will happen, but I believe that I will convince myself that it's happening.
Yeah. And also, like, I feel like you're at an age where if you have a food allergy, you'd probably know by now. You've probably tried a lot of foods.
I've never had any allergies to anything.
Yeah.
So I know I'll be fine, but I keep like avoiding things that are new.
Mm-hmm. Dude, you have to spread your seed.
I'm trapped in my mind.
Just like your therapist said.
Yeah. This is similar to this one time. This might just be my stupid story, depending on how much time we have. But I might have told you this story before, where I convinced myself that I had lost a bunch of weight really rapidly, and I started freaking out about it.
Oh my God. Oh no.
I was staying with this woman. I lived in Canada for a while, and I was staying with this woman who had a what do you call it? The thing you weigh yourself with.
A scale.
A scale. So smart.
Yeah, I'm smart. I know some stuff.
Allie's going to go home proud today because she got that.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. So I weighed myself with a scale, and I had weighed myself like the day before. This is when I used to pay way too much attention to that stuff. So I was like very aware, and I would like notice 1 or 2 pounds or whatever. And I weighed myself with her scale the day after, and it was like 5 pounds different. And I was like, oh my God,
Did you take off your shoes or take a big shit?
No. Nothing was weird. I always weighed myself in the same way because I was like that.
Yeah.
That like neurotic about it.
Yeah.
But nothing was different. I couldn't explain it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I'd been like exercising more and stuff, but that doesn't happen in a day.
Yeah.
I was just very worried because when you rapidly lose weight, it's usually like a worm or something. Or
Dude, I remember being so afraid of worms
Yeah,
when I was younger.
Really
like, I
afraid of
thought they would be a
worms.
much bigger problem than they ended up
Same.
being. I was like, I remember one time, because I watched the Discovery Channel all the time and like Animal Planet, and it'd always be like swamp monsters.
Yeah.
And they're like, this thing crawls up your pee hole and like shit like
they
that.
can grow to be 14 feet long in your veins and stuff.
Yeah. No, like heartworm, like Betty's heartworms.
Yeah.
And I remember there was one, and also this show, it was like called The Monsters Inside Me, and it was literally about people who had like parasitic experiences.
Yeah.
And every like every time there would be like the climax of the story, they would be on the toilet.
Yeah.
They would always be on the toilet, like shitting out a huge worm.
I know.
And like there would have to be like this poor actor who's like trying to get their SAG card, who had to like act this reenactment of somebody shitting out a worm. Yeah. And like it's somebody on a toilet being like, oh God, there's a worm coming out of my ass.
Man, they used to use reenactments for everything.
I know.
You don't need help imagining.
There's like a talking head of somebody being like, and then I realized there was a worm coming out my ass. And then a guy who's like an actor who went to like Juilliard on the toilet pretending a worm was coming out of his ass.
Yeah, man, I remember being on the toilet a lot when I was a kid because I used to also think about these parasites all the time. They were on TV a lot for a while.
They were on TV a lot for some reason.
That was like really big in the late 90s.
Yeah, I guess so.
But I also remember being on the toilet and being like, it could be now. Just being like, it could be happening.
Yeah, it's like you're like the way that they like pitched worms to us when we were younger was like our period. Like we were gonna get it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you didn't have
one
like
day.
You're like, oh, this is my worm time.
Yeah. And then don't some of them, if they're in you long enough, it can get really scary. Like it can affect your brain function.
Sometimes they can go into your brain and shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Man. For as much like worm like media I've consumed, I know so little about them.
Mm-hmm. When my brother was sick last year, one of the things they were testing for were like parasites and stuff. It never came back as that. But I remember being like, oh no, it's happening.
Yeah. You're like, somebody check his ass.
Yeah.
Somebody check my brother's ass. There might be a worm in there.
But anyway, so
so you
the
lost
worm
5
stuff is
pounds
way
in a day.
funnier than this. But I was like convinced that I was losing weight and that I was like really sick or something. And then the next day it was like 5 more pounds or something extreme. It was like
God.
it was between like 5 and 10 pounds in 2 days. And I was just like, and then I started having body dysmorphia in response to it.
Yep.
So because I thought it was happening, I looked in the mirror and was like, oh my God, look at you. You're like rail thin. I was like real scared about that.
Yeah.
And I really believed it.
You didn't actually feel bad, but since you thought that you had worms or whatever, you were like, do I have a fever?
I just was like, there's something wrong with me. And and then every day I was like, I got to eat a big cookie. I was just eating like a bunch of garbage for like 3 days straight.
Wait, so what did it end up being? Were you like on a...
The scale was like
on a different like level?
Slightly tipped up on the wall.
Yeah.
And I like noticed it one day and was like, oh, and then I went and I was the same as I always have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was like really... For days, I was just like, I think I'm dying. And I didn't tell anybody. I just like ate cookies.
Yeah, you were like, this will fix it. I have to feed the worm.
The
worm inside me.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
One more thing before we do updates. Because I've been so anxious lately, I can't focus at work. And it's been easier and easier to be distracted by my phone. I was on my phone earlier today. I was like trying so hard to focus at work and then I got on my phone and I realized I'd been on it for like 15 minutes. Wow. And I threw it down and I went, you got me again. And I started just like yelling at my phone.
Like the phone did it to you.
Like intentionally tricked me into looking at it for that long. And I was like, no.
Like the phone's like, Brittany, come here. Feast
She's
your
looking
eyes.
at me. She's been here a long time.
Look how many notifications you have.
Good. Like I got pranked.
You got me again. You got me again, gal. Oh my fucking God.
Yeah. What about you? How have you been?
Fucking regular.
How was Boston?
Oh, uh-oh.
If you want.
Oh, we went to Boston together.
Yeah?
We had to talk about you met my entire family.
Yeah. Which you all know a lot about from the podcast.
Yeah. And you met my dad.
Just the 3 people or whoever's here.
We went to, oh yeah. Hey, Mike. What's going on, Mike Racine?
Hey, Mike. Hey, Mike and maybe a few other people.
Hey, Mike and Maggie. 2 of our guests are people who listen to our pod all the fucking time. But yeah, you met my dad. We went to dinner with my dad and my stepmom and my brother. And my dad was really on one.
Man.
He was like...
Characters?
Yeah, dude. He was like, oh, Allie's friend is here, so I gotta be like funny. Because here's the thing. I talk about how my dad's a dick all the time, and he is. However, he's like, he can be really silly goofy like when he wants to. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he fucking cranked that shit up to 11 for this dinner.
He was being so goofy.
Yeah.
But I have never met him, so I was like, I don't know who this is.
Yeah.
He changed attitudes like 15 times.
I know, because he went from doing like an offensive accent to praying before we ate our meal at the table at this restaurant. And like, he was like, you could tell he like was praying and like he needed to make it good. Mm-hmm. But he was like meandering through the entire thing. Yeah. And you could tell he was like really making it up and like trying hard as he went along. He was like, Lord, thank you for this meal. And we want to thank you for Allie's wonderful friend. And we hope that you can guide them on their journey to Boston this weekend. Like he was like doing that for like maybe like 3 minutes.
My favorite part is when he used the word edification.
Yeah,
he got like he went in and out of like saying really really basic things like that, and then being like edified, fortified, mystified.
Can you fortify their trip to Boston this weekend? It was like so fucking insane. And then like I don't know, he was being so crazy. He was being so nuts.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything else he did? I was trying
tons. He did an act out of a bunny.
Of a rabbit.
For a long time.
Yeah.
And it was all facial movement.
Yeah, he was being like...
He just did that. He turned to the side and did that for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, he was like waiting for the laugh to happen.
Yeah,
he was waiting for the huge laugh from the entire table to happen, and it didn't happen. And I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah. Also the road stuff.
The road stuff?
When we first walked in.
Oh my God, yeah. So basically what happened is like, I parked the car at the restaurant. I'm like, Brittany, are you ready to listen to my brother and my dad talk about what highway exits they take to work? To talk about like how they get around like Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And then like literally as soon as we sit down.
Within 20 seconds.
Within 20 seconds of sitting down.
We barely got to be greeted.
Yeah. And then my dad is like, hey, Owen, how do you get from Rehoboth to Smithfield? And then they start talking about it. And I'm like, bro, like I fucking told you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They love talking about
exits. Dad move. Yeah.
Because like both my dad and they're both like blue collar guys, and they travel a lot for work. Because like my dad's an HVAC technician, so he like goes to people's houses. And then my brother is a tree guy, so he goes to people's properties. Mm-hmm. So they're just driving around all the time. So I guess that's like super fun for them or whatever to talk about.
Your dad started getting really into comparing comedy to him doing his sermons.
Yeah. No, I kind of put it in there. Yeah, I was like, I also do that.
Yeah.
I wanted to be like, hey, listen, we're doing the same thing. But mine's funner.
Yeah.
And I don't hate the gays.
Yeah.
In the meantime. So I'm like, dude, maybe you should just hit a few open mics and you won't be such a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was
and then there
fun.
was one point where he was like,
that was the first thing that happened in Boston too. So that was my first experience.
Oh yeah. So we drove down that day.
Yeah.
We drove to Rehoboth, which is where my brother lives, to drop off my dog. And then we got dinner together. So that was like the first night. And then we left for Boston the next day. And then you met Cindy, who's awesome.
Love Cindy.
Cindy's fucking fantastic. We stayed with my friend Cindy.
She also listens to the pod, but she doesn't like it.
Yeah. She's like, I don't think I'm the audience for it. She was like, I listened to 3 episodes and I couldn't get into it. And I was like, that's really sweet of you to like really try to get into it. But also like, you don't have to love it.
Yeah.
And then we did like 6 really fun shows.
6 shows. It was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the crowds were fun. And
I can't remember anything stupid that happened in the shows. They were just good.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
And then you met Linda, who's my second mom, who's missing a finger. And then she like did an act out of shitting into a coffee mug as soon as she showed up. Do you remember doing that?
Yes.
Do you remember seeing that?
And then she goes, after like 20 minutes of talking to me, Ali and Owen, she goes, "What's your name?"
I know. Yeah, she asked you what your name was maybe 5 times in the half hour we hung out together. Yeah. She's like, "What's your name again?" Okay, yeah. And then as she was walking away, she was like, "What's her name again?"
And then she goes, "Okay,
I got it this time."
Yeah.
She's so insane. Dude.
And they all got to see Ali perform.
Yeah, they all got to see me perform.
Not your dad, but
no, not my dad, because he didn't know that we were going to perform. Because I was like,
me and Ali thought we should just pretend to be in a lesbian relationship, so we don't have to explain why I'm coming with her to Boston.
Yeah.
So that he doesn't have to like go see her shows.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I was like, so I'm fingering Brittany, and there's no comedy happening. Don't worry. You don't have to hear any jokes about you. It's like
there are
easier.
No audiences around sitting and waiting for ideas. Nothing like that.
Yeah. Definitely don't.
Just fingering my wife.
Just fingering my wife. Nothing to see here. Just fingering my wife.
No sketches in development. No toilet sketches or anything.
Oh my God. Yeah. And then we listened to Kid Rock all the way home.
Oh, that's right. We heard
like
a lot of
Rob Zombie and Kid Rock,
Korn.
A lot of that.
We did some Limp Bizkit, right?
A lot of Limp Bizkit.
We did, yeah.
Hot Dog Water.
Man, things were just, it was just meant to be.
Yeah. Oh, another like really fun conversation that we had, I think it was on the way there, is we were listening to a lot of pop punk because my phone was plugged into it.
And it was like the same 10 songs
over and over
5 hours.
We listened to My Own Worst Enemy by Lit maybe 16 times on the 4-hour drive because like my phone just thinks I love that song.
I hear that song a lot when I'm in the shower. Or
really?
I did for a while. I was listening to like an alternative 90s list or something.
I know. It's like the biggest, like if you were an alien, you never lived, or if you were young and never lived during the 90s, you'd think that was the biggest song of the 90s.
Yeah. But it wasn't even really.
No, yeah. But like we were listening to a lot of like pop punk, and like one thing we were talking about is like how pop punk loves juxtaposition.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And like for some reason in like the early 2000s, like the era of pop punk that I like really like, there's always a song that's like, children are crying, but you just like your TVs. Yeah. And it's like very like, I'm 14 and I think this is deep. It's always like,
there are dogs dying on the street and all you guys are doing are your kickflips. We are all like that.
I'm going to ignore my kids' problems because all I care about is my new Cadillac.
Yeah.
It's like very that. And it's like, but it's like constant. Like that song, Jesus of Suburbia, which in itself like is a juxtaposition. Yeah. Like there's so much of it in that. It's so insane.
Yeah. The banks are taking over and you're mowing your lawn. I just want to do this the rest of the pod.
I know. They're like, there's a genocide, but at least you got your ice pop.
Oh my God, I'm sweating.
It's just like them being mad at capitalism, which is understandable, but it's, I don't know.
Joy
like,
at the same time, though.
Yeah, I know.
It's just like things people like.
Yeah. They're like, fuck you, mom. Oh my God, it's so funny.
Yeah. And also, Betty, Allie's dog.
Oh my God,
check this out. She puked within 15 minutes
of us getting in the car, which she always does.
But then, okay, and I don't handle puke very well.
Yeah.
I'm like imagining it right now, and it's pretty difficult. She pukes. It just smells like dog food. It's not even that bad. But then I'm trying like not to think about it or smell it. I got my window down. I'm trying not to think about it at all. And I start hearing her eating her puke.
Yeah. And you're like,
that was worse.
You're sitting there like windows down, eyes watering, being like, oh God.
And Ali keeps talking about it. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
And you were like,
stop making me imagine the puke.
You were like really hurting. And it was so funny to me because I love it when people are disgusted by things. It's so funny to me.
Yeah.
And then you turn around, she's like, oh, she's eating it. She's eating it.
You could hear it. You could just hear her eating lapping her wet food.
She ate the entire puke and then
she re-puked it. And I looked back and I was like, it's just like refried beans.
Yeah, I know.
Like it's worse. It stopped looking like the original puke just looked like
it looked like wet kibble.
Like rained on dog food.
Yeah, rained on. Hold on, no, rained on dog food. You could have just said
you
wet.
You gotta explain why it's wet.
Yeah. I need a whole backstory. Yeah. Somebody left the dog food out in the rain. That's what happened.
The reason the dog bowl was outside was because like you gotta do a whole thing.
I know.
But anyway, so the dog food originally it just looked like dog food that was wet and it wasn't that bad. But the second round was like, it was like refried bean dog food.
Yeah.
And
it was pretty gross.
She didn't eat that, right?
No,
I think my memory blanked after that.
She didn't eat that, but she did like sit in it.
She looked at it the whole time.
Yeah.
She sat in it.
She sat in it. So then like when we get to Rehoboth, I take her out of the car and there's like dog food puke all over her ass. And so I have to like wipe her down and then I have to take I put like a hammock in the back seat because she pukes every fucking time.
Yeah.
And also I rent a car. So I like can't have her puking on a rental car. And like then I had to fucking hose her down and then hose down the thing. It was just and that happens every time.
Yeah.
She pukes on every car ride.
Yeah. And then I told you my tongue story and you were reeling at that.
Oh yeah, I was disgusted by that.
Oh my God. I might tell that in the future though.
Oh, okay. Hey, stay tuned for a tongue story.
Yeah.
Should we get into a post?
Yeah.
We don't have a ton of time.
What time is it?
It's 7:08.
Oh God, we gotta go.
Let's get into this postie.
Okay. I don't know why I cleared my throat so much.
Sorry that there weren't that many stupid stories, guys, but
hey,
we were just hanging out with our producers for too long.
Yeah.
Or as I like to call them, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Mom and Horse. Oh, Maxim said to the group Seabiscuit, and I meant to reply, you mean Puddle Cracker?
What?
Such a stupid joke.
Just different words?
Yeah, but it's
you just did
it's
a thesaurus find and replace.
No, but it's like shittier versions of Sea and Biscuit. It's like Puddle and Cracker.
Wait,
they're not all winners.
We're talking about Seabiscuit because of a horse thing?
Yeah, because I called Connor a horse.
Okay.
And then Maxim was like Seabiscuit.
Sorry, guys.
And then I meant to be like, you mean Puddle Cracker?
Yeah. What about
like
Black
he's like
Beauty?
a shitty horse. I'm calling Connor a shitty horse is what I'm doing.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
No, it's not.
I should give you credit.
Don't give that to me. Don't do that to me.
Puddle Cracker? What's another horse name? A real horse.
Like, Wind.
No, I'm trying to think of real horses. I can only think of Black Beauty. But that one, I don't want to that's a perfect horse. I don't even want to talk about that horse. We're not renaming Black Beauty.
Wait, okay. What other fucking famous horses? Shadowfax is the horse in Lord of the Rings.
Oh, Shadowfax.
Yeah, that's Gandalf the White's horse.
Okay,
Lord
wait.
Of the Rings.
So Shadowfax is like darkness information.
I like
that's actually good.
The source for facts.
Good.
I like how in Lord of the Rings you assumed that the fax meant like a fax machine. Oh, no, you meant fax.
What did you mean?
I thought you meant like a fax machine, like you get a fax through.
Wait, you're talking about fax, right? Like
no, it's FAX.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
You don't know what a fax is? Yes, you fucking do.
You mean like a fax machine?
Yes. Brittany, what are we doing here? This podcast is canceled. Anyway, let's get into this fucking post.
We haven't hung out in a while.
Yeah. I haven't seen her since Wednesday, and it's Friday.
Okay. Oh, this is the wrong one. Oh, here we go. Okay.
I would have talked to Phil this time, but I assumed that you were reading, so I started vaping, and I couldn't talk during
Wait,
that.
should I read the title? Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Would I be the asshole for spraying some kid with my garden hose daily after he walks all over our lawn? I, 37,
oh my
male,
God. I feel like my dad wrote this.
live with my wife, 37, and son and daughter, 9 11. That's actually not relevant to this at all. Except that he does have a family and seems normal, I guess.
Yeah.
Recently, there's been this kid who comes by our house after playing soccer and either rides his bike or walks over the lawn with his cleats on his way home. It started out as me giving him stern looks whenever I saw him. Then it slowly progressed to me asking him to just go around. The last time I asked him to stop, he made a point to stomp extra hard and twist his feet into the grass to piss me off.
Wow, this kid sucks.
I wish I could do stuff like that, but for a reason. This kid doesn't have a reason.
No, yeah.
Sometimes I just want to get angry and like be good at it. You've heard me try and be angry. Like that lady with the turtle.
Oh, yeah.
There's this lady that brought a turtle to my show. Maybe more than once.
Yeah.
Did this happen more than once?
She brought a pigeon another time. This lady needs attention, so she keeps bringing animals to comedy shows.
Yeah, so she brings a turtle. And then after the show, we were practicing me being angry.
Yeah.
And trying to tell this lady off.
And you just sounded sarcastic.
And I sounded so sarcastic. The harder I tried, the more I was like, hey, we really don't want you to be doing stuff like that here. Could you please leave? I'm like smiling. Excuse me, but your turtle is kind of distracting for other people. And it's a show. And I don't know. Also, there's food.
We need to like meet in the middle somewhere because I sound angry even when I'm not.
Yeah. I recorded a bunch of those attempts.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're at. I got to find them, but
we'll play them on another pod.
We'll play them on another pod. I want to play them on stage somewhere. Okay, so this kid, he's jumping into the lawn and he's twisting around. It is like he just needs attention, probably.
Yeah.
Since then, I've just been hosing him. The first time I sprayed him with the hose, he ran off. And then for some reason, he started standing there while I hose him, and he enjoys it.
Like an elephant?
Yeah.
Like he's he's a horse on a hot day.
Into his ear.
And he's like really getting into it. He's really
like when
sprayed.
A bear like rubs up against a tree.
Yeah.
But only in cartoons.
No, they do that in real life.
Do they?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I was hoping they did. So he stands there while I hose him and he like enjoys it. It's now progressed to me sitting on my lawn chair, pointing my hose at him, and him just staring at me while he does so. That's written weird. Yeah. Sometimes we even make small talk.
Wait, so this guy is sitting there?
This guy now just sits in his lawn, waits for a kid to come, and then sprays this kid down.
Yeah, and then he's
every day.
And he's like, did you get an A on that English exam?
Yeah.
While he's spraying him?
Hey, what's your favorite color?
Yeah. What position do you play on your soccer team?
Yeah. I'm NGL. I don't know what that means.
Not gonna lie.
Okay. I read that before and I had no ideas. I'm NGL. It started off as a really bitter relationship, but I've actually gotten to know the kid quite well.
Is this a Lifetime movie?
I know. It feels like a movie, right? It feels like this really sweet story. There's this old, like, kind of bizarre, like, eccentric man.
This is Up.
Yeah.
This is like the really regular version of Up.
I actually don't think I've seen Up, but I heard about it so much, I felt like I should say, yeah.
It's like a bitter old guy, and then he ties a bunch of balloons to his house, and then, like, this Boy Scout kid who he thinks is annoying, like, gets on his house before it takes off into the sky, so then they just have to live together. Oh. And they grow to love each other.
Okay.
It's also like The Last of Us.
I don't remember that. I don't have any movie memories.
Well, The Last of Us is a TV show that came out like 2 months ago. Okay. Everybody was talking about it. Yeah. Anyway, and I watched it recently and I cried. But go ahead.
So, okay, they got this bitter relationship, but I've actually gotten to know the kid quite well. We talk for maybe 15, 20 minutes a day, and he doesn't seem to mind being hosed down after sweating hard playing soccer. He's hosing him for 20 minutes.
Now he's like, it turned into him trying to like drive this kid away, and now he's just doing him a favor.
Yeah. He comes by daily and we just shoot the shit while I hose him. Why can't they just talk? Why can't they just turn it into like, we're friends now and we talk?
I know.
They can only be friends while he's hosing him.
I know.
And then after that, they have to pretend like they don't know each other.
Yeah.
They only talk when there's a hose.
This is the weirdest exchange.
Wife told me I need to stop. Even after I explained it to her, she said I'm making us look like childish idiots. I guess
nobody likes the hose.
Yeah, they both like what's happening here.
Yeah. They just have a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
This kid gets to get hosed, and this guy gets to hose.
Yeah, it's like when a whale has a little fish eating bacteria
a remora.
off of it.
Oh, yeah, a remora. That's what those are called. I watched a lot of Animal Planet as a kid.
Yeah. We both did.
I'm afraid
I was trying to show you some of my animal knowledge just so I can be like, hey,
yeah.
we're even closer than we thought.
I'm afraid it's going to crawl up my ass, and then I'm going to have to take a video of me on the toilet shitting it out for the reenactment.
This is a reenactment. I guess I could stop, but honestly, it's really funny waiting for him to come by, and I see no harm in it. Would I be the asshole? Would I be the asshole?
Would I be the asshole?
I guess if he continues is the question.
No! Wait, let's read the comments. What do people say about this?
Okay, well, the first comment is this really cute and sad tale about a similar situation where when I was in my teens, I used to visit a small greasy spoon diner where my friend was a waitress. This old guy in his late 70s came in every day at the same time, sat in the same booth. He'd order one of 3 meals. One time I sat him in his booth doing some homework. I sat in his booth doing some homework and drinking a ton of coffee refills. He said that like he really wanted people to know. The man came in and told me that I needed to move. It happened again. Later, he called me a little bastard for sitting in his booth. A couple days later, I did it again on purpose. He called me a bastard, told me to move. I moved my books. The man grumbled, sat down. Over the course of 2 months, this scenario got repeated.
And then he came to the booth one day, and that man was dead in the booth.
In the booth. And it was to the point that he's a skull with bulging eyeball. Like,
I know. Everything rotted away except for his eyeballs.
Make sure the viewers know he's dead.
Yeah.
About 2 months, the scenario got repeated. Somewhere in the line, I asked him about a ring that he wore. The story started to come out. I learned he and his wife, basically, they built a relationship, and he went to the funeral, and he knew his family, and it was...
Oh, wow.
It's a nice story.
Oh,
So this guy should keep hosing this kid down. It makes sense.
Don't stop hosing this kid.
Yeah.
This is so weirdly wholesome.
But that kid, so it must be an attention thing.
Definitely.
Like, that guy noticed him doing something he didn't want, and instead of stopping the kid, he made it worse.
Yeah.
Because he probably, I don't know what's going on at home.
If this was a Lifetime movie, then when he was hosing down the kid, he would be trying to like hose some dirt off of him and then realize it was a bruise, and he'd be like, "Who did that to you?"
Yeah!
And he's like, nothing. And then he would go over to the parents' house, and then there'd be a guy in a wife beater smoking a cigarette in a trailer, and then the guy who hoses would shoot him in the head and then adopt the kid.
Yes, he adopts the kid for sure. I hope that happens.
Should we write that movie?
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the first comment. It's just like cute. The rest of them, actually, nobody's commenting on the original story. Oh yeah, they are. Okay. It's all like his parents aren't probably around.
This kid needs to get hosed down, and you're the father figure to do it. Oh my God. Also, like, yeah, I feel like if this kid had like people around who like cared about him, he would come home like soaking wet every day. And then his mom would be like, "Why the fuck are you soaking wet?"
Nobody cares that he's coming home like that.
Yeah, so either kid would stop getting wet, or his parents would like go over to the guy's house and be like, "Hey, stop hosing down my kid."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then what would happen if he did quit hosing him down? Now this kid, he's going to be so sad.
I know. Yeah. That's the point in the movie.
They're having to break up or something.
Yeah. That's the point in the movie where he's like, "Can't do it today." And he's like, "Why?" And he's like, I just can't hose you down." And then he goes inside, and then he starts crying inside his house, being like, "Fuck, God damn it."
Yeah, he has to act really busy every time the kid comes by now, too.
Be like, "Sorry, I can't hose you down today, kid." And then the kid's like walks away like Charlie Brown.
Yeah. It's weird, yeah. That's my conclusion. It's weird. Pretty good, right?
Yeah. No, that was a good story. I liked that. I don't think you should stop hosing that kid down.
I don't think you should either.
I think you should go over to that kid's house and shoot the dad.
At some point, do you think they're just going to start hanging, or?
I think they are hanging.
They are hanging.
But also, like, we've talked about this before. Like, men need an activity to hang out, or else they feel like it's gay.
Yeah.
Like, that's why. No, literally. Literally, that's why there's big Jenga in my brother's house all the time. Because he has a bunch of, like, dude friends. And, like, every time they come over, they can't just, like, talk to each other. They have to play big Jenga. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
that's what fidget spinners were.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
You can, like, have a conversation. I'm assuming. I actually never saw one or used one.
You never saw one?
I probably saw one, but I never used one. I never really saw people using them.
I know for a fact that you've seen one.
I have, but I didn't really see how they were being used. But I think that it would be the same thing.
Yeah, they became like, so big. What a weird trend.
I know.
That's going to be like silly bands. Remember silly bands?
No, remember Pogs?
I remember Pogs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Silly bands, you might have been like a little bit too old for them, but when I was in like middle school, maybe, they were like these stretchy bracelets that when you took them off, they took the shape of like an animal or something.
Cool.
See, that's why they caught on. And then I remember people like taking them and then like resting them like on their stomach or something.
Yeah.
And then getting a tan.
Oh.
And then you'd have a little tan of like a bunny rabbit
cool.
or something.
Like a little branding.
And people would be like, oh, dude, you have the Triceratops?
Yeah.
Sick.
I would have put it on my hip or my thigh like a horse brand. I would have gone even further with the horse
It's like
stuff.
weirdly kinky.
I know. Pogs, we decorated my Christmas tree with Pogs one time.
Oh,
when we were
really?
kids, yeah.
That's
we were
pretty
like,
sick.
we moved apartments, or we moved from California to Washington,
Mhm.
and everything was like in storage, and all we had were our Pogs. So
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's
so we
pretty
put them
cool.
on little paper clips and hung them all over.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cute.
It was cute.
What a weird, wholesome
Yeah.
episode of Worthless Clowns today.
I know. It's weirdly just nice.
Yeah, I know. We're like, you got to keep spraying that kid down.
Let's go back to my anxiety, all right?
Yeah. I think we both needed this.
Yeah.
We needed like a nice story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. I don't know. So what next?
So what do we do now? What do you
We should have
think?
told stories.
We should have told more stories. Now we got to cut this out.
Did you have any
Oh, I
relationship?
had diarrhea in Boston.
Oh, yeah.
I had diarrhea big time. So did Ali.
Wait, this is what. Oh, I also had big time diarrhea. It was legal seafoods. That's
Yeah.
what it was. But I just took longer to process. But like, so what happened Friday night before we went to our show? We went out for dinner beforehand. We went to Legal Seafoods, and then we like ate our meal, which was like fine. And then our waitress was like,
oh man, she was too quirky on purpose.
She was, yeah. She had like
she wanted us to summarize her as quirky after.
Yeah. I know.
Like it was her whole motivation.
She had blue hair and then 14 nose rings, and then she was like, "Yeah," she was like being like too much. Like you could tell she wanted to like talk to us.
But also, remember, I didn't like my cauliflower and I didn't really finish it. And she comes over and asks if I wanted her to take it away. And I'm like, oh no, I'm still working on it. And she's like, good. It would have been tragic.
Yeah, I know. Like it was
Like,
her favorite thing, but it wasn't good.
It wasn't good, but also the word she chose. She said that would have been a tragedy. And I'm like, she like wants to date a poet or something.
Yeah.
She like wants, I don't know.
Yeah, and then she was like, "Are you guys from out of town?" We're like, "Yeah, we're visiting. We're doing comedy, blah blah blah."
Yeah.
And then like right before we leave, Brittany's like, "Oh, I have to go pee." So she goes to the bathroom.
I really truly thought I had to go pee and that's it.
She
5 minutes I thought it would be maximum.
And so then I'm on my phone, and then I realize I've been on my phone for maybe 25 minutes. And I was looking at a picture of a guy. Okay.
I didn't know this part.
No, I showed you this picture.
Oh.
I was on Reddit, and there's a subreddit called like R Bald. And for some reason it was like in my suggested. And it was a picture of this guy taking a picture of his bald head, but like from the back.
We gotta put that on.
We have to post that. It was a picture of a guy taking a picture of his bald head from the back, and like his neck is like so like long, and it's like the weirdest angled
But he
picture.
took it like instead of using like a mirror behind him to take the picture of the back of his neck or something like that.
Yeah.
He tried to just put his hand like a selfie.
Yeah,
but to the back of his head. So then his head's all angled in a real weird. It looks like his neck is like broken.
Yeah.
Or something.
And then he was like, "I'm afraid it looks bad. Can you guys tell me?" And then everybody was like, "As long as you don't do that, I'm sure it looks fine."
It looked like a short finger with like with like beard hair on the top.
It's like a picture of the back of a guy's head that like you have to look at it for 5 seconds to figure out what you're looking at.
You can't tell it's a head.
Yeah, you can't. Anyway,
because the angle makes the top of his head look the same like width as the rest of his neck.
Yeah.
So it just looks like a weird
yeah.
angled, pointed, like
So
hairy,
strange.
kind of shiny at the tip thing.
It looks like somebody's thumb, but there's no nail on it. It's so strange. Anyway, so I was looking at this picture of this guy's bald head
for 25 minutes.
And then I realized
and guess what I was doing for 25 minutes?
she was Princess Di in the bathroom at Legal Seafoods.
Man, it was pretty bad.
And then as soon as I realized that I've been like looking at my phone for mad long, I like look up and I turn around. I'm like, "Where the fuck is Brittany?" And then you're walking back like you're walking into a wrestling ring. You have like your arms up and you're like,
I felt so much better.
Yeah.
I felt like a brand new person. I did. Yeah. I felt like I'd done coke. It was the whole like, it was like, I'm new. I'm good. My attention's back. And
and you walk in and you're like laughing and you have your hands up, walking across this legal seafood. And then like you come in and you're laughing so hard that you're crying and you're like, I just had diarrhea. Like at me at the table.
I was laughing partly because I was so stressed right before that because I didn't know I was going to have diarrhea. I didn't tell Ali like, hey, it might be a while. And then I was down there. I had no service on my phone, so I couldn't text Ali. And the whole thing, it was one of those things where I sat down and I felt like really like disoriented kind of.
Yeah.
Like I was
yeah.
like, oh, I'm nauseous. I didn't realize I was. And I feel all like gross and sweaty and like
and your body is like, I need to get this out of here.
Yeah. And that kept happening. And I thought it was over. And then I would stand up and I'd be like feeling all weird again. And I'd be like, I guess there's more or something. It's weird how that just affects you so directly.
I know. Yeah.
Like your brain.
Every part of you.
And as soon as it's gone,
like nausea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as it's gone, you're like back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I couldn't text Ali. So I was real stressed the whole time. I was like, I hope she doesn't think it's rude or something. You would have known that I was
I wouldn't have been like, Brittany, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was worried sick about you.
Yeah, I'm probably just like, that's how Doug would have.
Yeah, I know.
He would have been pissed.
I know, yeah.
He wouldn't have been like upset at all that I was sick.
Yeah, no.
Or like, oh no, are you feeling better? He would have just been like, I had to sit here and this waitress kept coming by and using weird words.
I just sit here for 20 minutes and look at the back of this bald guy's head.
Yeah.
Just all fucking mad about it.
Yeah.
And then you didn't stop talking about how good you felt for maybe 20 minutes after that.
Oh my God.
We were like walking down the street and you were like, dude, I feel like a new woman. I feel great. I feel so different. And I'm
I really felt like I had so much energy suddenly.
She acted like we both had diarrhea. You know what I mean? Like you acted like we both did
like
something
we both
great.
took some drugs.
Yeah, and I was like, I feel exactly the same as before. And you're like, oh man, I feel great. I just had diarrhea.
Yeah, I was being a little too much after that. I was like skipping down the street.
Yeah, no, you were like picking up babies and twirling them and then like kissing them and giving them back to their moms and shit.
And I was just blowing bubbles out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, yeah, you had like a cane and a top hat and you were dancing. It was so nuts, dude.